Did she threaten you?
Yes, that is false.
Counsel, she resisted every order.
Let him finish. Did she identify herself?
She
tried to hide who she was. And refused the phone?
Repeatedly.
The recording says otherwise. Sit down.
She could lose everything.
Why isn't she speaking? What are we waiting for?
The truth.
You never opened her credential wallet?
It looked fake.
It looked fake.
You never
You were
checked.
aggressive. Answer the question. Objection. Overruled. I made the right call. Under oath?
Is this the evidence bag?
Yes.
Where are the timestamps?
The file was damaged. 47 seconds are missing.
Agent
or defendant remain seated.
Say it clearly.
She said I would regret touching her phone. That sentence is nowhere in the audio.
The audio is incomplete.
Because someone made it incomplete. Do you have proof? It is arriving.
She is stalling.
No, the seal numbers don't match.
Are you sure? Look at the screen. Why didn't anyone check her badge?
Quiet. Your Honor, the gallery sees it. They don't understand procedure. Order. Your Honor, sealed federal order. Bring it here.
Federal? What is that? Do not move.
Read this hearing should stop.
Officer, remain at the stand.
Who is she? Open it.
The officer leaned toward the microphone and swore she had threatened him, resisted him, and tried to hide who she was. Every word was false. Why did the courtroom believe him so quickly? Why did the black woman at the defense table stay silent while her career, her freedom, and her daughter's trust began to collapse? He thought the badge on his chest made his story untouchable. He had no idea the woman he was destroying had spent 6 months tracing every altered report, every missing recording, and every lie he had told under oath. Then one sealed envelope reached the judge, and the entire room changed. Stay until the end, because the truth she carried was bigger than one crooked testimony. The second hand struck 12 with a metallic click. Did she identify herself as a federal agent? Evelyn Hart asked. Caleb Rourke folded his hands over the rail. Only after I detained her. Before that, she refused every lawful instruction. Nia Carter sat with both palms flat on a yellow legal pad. The air tightened the skin across her knuckles. Rain drew silver lines down the windows. Behind Judge Miriam Vale, an old radiator knocked twice and fell quiet. Did she threaten you? She said I would regret touching her phone. Liam Brooks rose. Objection. The recording contains no such statement. The recording is incomplete, Hart said, because 47 seconds are missing. Judge Vale lifted one finger. Save argument for cross-examination. Rourke glanced toward the gallery. 2 reporters bent over notebooks. A woman in a gray scarf lowered her eyes when Nia caught her looking. No one spoke. The clock cut the silence into equal pieces. Hart carried 3 photographs to the stand. Do these show the evidence bag after the defendant was detained? They do. One image showed a torn plastic seam. Another showed Nia's phone beneath a blue seal. The last showed her credential wallet half open, its federal emblem reduced to a blurred edge. Liam stepped forward. May I examine the original files? These are the originals submitted to my office. That was not my question. Rourke's jaw moved once. Everything else looked rehearsed. The measured breath, the modest tone, the refusal to appear pleased. Judge Vale rubbed the rough corner of the top photograph. Do you have proof these images were altered? We have a verification request arriving now. How long? 12 minutes. A murmur moved through the gallery. Hart exhaled. The court has already granted 2 delays. Neither was requested by Miss Carter. Nia touched Liam's sleeve. He leaned closer. Ask for the seal number, she whispered. He faced the witness. Officer Rourke, read the number visible in photograph 2. Hart turned sharply. Rourke leaned toward the screen. B-7149. Nia's pen stopped. Is that the seal you placed on the bag? Yes. Under oath? Rourke looked directly at Nia. Under oath. The clock ticked once. Then again. The original seal had ended in 6. At the rear entrance, a deputy opened the door. Cool air carried in wet wool and burnt coffee. A clerk stood outside, clutching a thick white envelope. Judge Vale noticed. What is it? A federal courier is requesting chambers. Regarding what? Hart asked. He won't say. Rourke's hand tightened around the rail. Judge Vale looked at the clock, then at the photographs. 10-minute recess. The gavel struck. Chairs scraped. Voices rose, but Nia remained seated, staring at the blue seal. Liam gathered his papers. You knew? I knew it wasn't mine. Why didn't you tell me? Because now he has sworn to it. Across the room, Rourke spoke into Owen Mercer's ear. Mercer's face stayed still, but his fingers missed the middle button of his coat twice. The clerk approached the bench with the envelope. A red stamp read, "Sealed by federal order." Nia looked up at the clock. 36 hours earlier, that clock had been the last thing on her mind. At 6:18 p.m., Nia hung her wet coat over a kitchen chair and caught the scholarship invitation before it slid beneath the mail. "You're still coming tomorrow?" Talia asked. Nia smoothed the cream card. Cold air leaked around the window. On the refrigerator, Talia had circled 7 p.m. and written one word beneath it. Reserved. "I'll be there before the doors open." "You said that at graduation." "I know." The kettle clicked off. Rain tapped the fire escape. I saved the seat anyway. Nia turned her mug handle toward the empty chair. "Then I won't make you save it twice. Wear something that doesn't look like an interrogation. That removes most of my closet." The laugh was brief, but real. Afterward, Nia slipped the invitation inside her coat and opened the false bottom drawer beneath the silverware. A contractor badge, 2 phones, and a sealed folder waited inside. The secure phone vibrated. "Carter." Daniel Cho spoke quickly. "We found another missing recording." "Where?" "East Precinct. Report says the body camera failed during transport." Signed by? Caleb Rourke. Approved by Owen Mercer. Nia opened the folder. "How many?" 7 confirmed. 10 possible." "That isn't equipment failure." "No. We need proof someone caused it." The first report contained a highlighted sentence. Subject became verbally aggressive and attempted to conceal identifying information. "I've seen that wording." "You'll see more tomorrow. Municipal insurance is auditing at 9. Your cover is approved." "My daughter's ceremony is at 7. "I'm not asking permission," Nia added. "I wasn't going to make you." "You were thinking about it." "Rourke has a disciplinary review at 4:30. If he senses a real audit, he may move records." Nia looked at reserved through the coat pocket. "I leave Stonebridge at 5:30. "Understood." At 8:47 the next morning, the records office smelled of dust, burnt coffee, and lemon cleaner. Nia wore the contractor badge and carried a canvas bag. The receptionist barely looked up. "Claims reviewers are downstairs." "I need body camera retention logs." "Downstairs." "They're stored on 3. The woman raised her eyes. "Who told you that?" Nia placed an authorization letter on the counter. "Your risk director." Laughter rolled down the corridor. Caleb Rourke approached with 2 officers. Clean-shaven and broad-shouldered, he asked about the receptionist's husband before noticing Nia. "Contractor?" "Records compliance." "Must be exciting." "It rewards attention." One officer smiled. The younger one did not. Rourke tapped the letter. "These requests go through Lieutenant Mercer." The risk director approved direct access. People approve things they don't understand. The younger officer shifted. His nameplate read J. Bell. Nia closed her folder. "Then explain it to them." Rourke's smile narrowed. "I usually do." He turned away. Bell glanced back at Nia, then at the folder beneath Rourke's arm. A yellow page protruded from it. The same sentence appeared on the first line. Nia waited until the elevator indicator went dark, then took out her secure phone. "Daniel," she said, watching the doors, "it isn't 7 reports anymore. It's 17, Nia said. Daniel went quiet. 17 missing recordings? 17 reports with the same sentence, same commas, same misspelling. The elevator chimed. Nia ended the call and slid the secure phone beneath her forms. At 9:12 a.m., the records room hummed under fluorescent tubes. Toner and old cardboard thickened the air. 7 folders lay across a metal desk. Nia drew a yellow line beneath the sentence again. Subject became verbally aggressive and attempted to conceal identifying information. The marker stopped there for the 17th time. "Finding anything exciting?" Caleb Rourke asked. Repeated language. Police work repeats. Punctuation usually doesn't. His smile held. Contractors love turning templates into conspiracies. This report is from a traffic stop. That one is a noise complaint. Different officers, identical wording. People resist in familiar ways. Nia tapped the page. Do they misspell identifying the same way? Rourke looked down. The same 2 letters were reversed in every report. Owen Mercer appeared behind him, 51, silver-haired, rain darkening his coat. Briefing room, Rourke. Rourke replaced the folder crooked. Enjoy your templates. Mercer stayed. Those complaints were reviewed. By whom? Internal standards. I need names and closure dates. You need what your contract authorizes. Nia pushed forward the risk director's letter. Mercer left it untouched. Administrative complaints are outside insurance scope. Not when they create liability. These cases are closed, he said. Then opening the index should be harmless. Mercer folded the letter. Submit another request. At 10:03, voices pulled Nia toward the stairwell. Jonah Bell stood below Rourke, clutching his hat. I logged the upload, Bell said. The system showed complete. You logged what I told you. It had audio. Rookies confuse static with evidence. I heard her ask for a supervisor. Rourke leaned closer. You want field training extended? Bell's fingers missed the strap twice. No, sir. Then stop inventing problems. Nia waited until Rourke left before entering. Bell stiffened. You're the auditor. Records compliance. Did you upload file 26-184? His eyes dropped. I don't remember. You remembered 30 seconds ago. The stairwell light buzzed. You shouldn't ask me here, he whispered. Where should I ask? He pressed the hat to his chest. Nowhere. At noon, Nia returned to find 3 folders gone. A closure memo lay in their place, signed by Mercer. Insufficient evidence. No further action. The sheet was warm. Grooves showed from the page printed before it. She rubbed the yellow marker across them. Transfer of digital archives, 4:30 p.m. Destination, temporary server purge. Her phone vibrated. Daniel's message contained 4 words. Do not confront them. Across the glass, Rourke asked a clerk about her mother's surgery. She touched his sleeve. Then he noticed the shaded page in Nia's hand. His expression emptied. Bell stood beside the elevator, watching both of them. Nia folded the order and slipped it beneath Talia's scholarship invitation. The indicator dropped from 3 to 2. Rourke walked toward her. Ms. Carter, Rourke called. The elevator opened behind him, but Nia stayed by the records desk. I was told contractors leave requests with records. I did. He glanced at the purge order beneath Talia's invitation. That doesn't look like a request. It looks like paper. Bell held the elevator. Rourke smiled. You forgetting somewhere to be? Bell released the button. The doors closed. At 12:26 p.m., Nia crossed Market Street through cold drizzle and entered a narrow cafe opposite the courthouse. It smelled of cinnamon and scorched espresso. A grinder screamed behind the counter. Marisol Vega, 34, wore a green apron and twisted a silver ring around her thumb. Rourke stood by the pastry case. "I already gave a statement," she said. "You gave the wrong one." "I wrote what I saw." "You wrote that the driver asked for a supervisor." "He did." Rourke lowered his voice. "Your sidewalk permit comes up next month." Marisol's fingers stopped. Nia chose a table beside the glass door and placed her phone face down by a paper cup. In the reflection, the red indicator on Rourke's body camera glowed. "What does my permit have to do with this?" Marisol asked. "Nothing, if you correct the statement." "Correct it how?" "Say he was shouting. Say you couldn't hear his words." The grinder cut off. At that instant, the red light vanished. Only the milk wand hissed. One customer lowered his newspaper. Nia turned her phone, catching the dark lens in the glass. Rourke saw it. "What are you recording?" Nia lifted the cup. "Rain." "Phones don't record weather face down." Marisol stepped forward. "She's a customer." "I'm asking a question." "And I'm asking you to leave." Then the red light returned. "Thank you for your cooperation," he said loudly, and walked out. Marisol gripped the counter. "You shouldn't have done that." "Sat down?" "Made him notice you." Nia checked the time. 12:31:14. "How long was the camera dark?" 47 seconds, Marisol whispered. She looked at the ceiling. "The register camera records sound." "Who has access?" "My landlord." "Me." "Make a copy now." "If he comes back." "He will." Nia wrote a secure upload address on the receipt. "Send it from another device. Don't edit it." Marisol folded the paper into her apron. "Who are you?" "Someone who believes your first statement." Outside, rain ticked against cars. Nia walked toward the garage without turning. Her coat clung cold between her shoulders. In a storefront reflection, Rourke appeared half a block behind. She called Daniel. "I have 47 missing seconds and a civilian recording." "Leave the area." "I'm at the garage." "No. Public entrance. Cameras. Witnesses." "He knows what I saw." "Your cover is finished." "My phone has the upload path." "Then don't let him take it." The garage smelled of damp concrete and engine heat. Nia reached level 2 as the stairwell door opened below. Her fingers touched the invitation inside her coat. Reserved. Her car waited beneath a flickering light. Before she reached it, Rourke stepped from the next row, his expression empty. "Now," he said, "we're going to talk about that phone." "Put the phone on the hood," Rourke said. Nia stopped beside her car. Water struck concrete with a hollow plink. "No." "You recorded an officer without consent." "This state permits recording in public." "Unlock it." "My identification is in the inner sleeve of my wallet. Verify the number and call the federal duty desk." He took the wallet but left the sleeve untouched. "I expect you to check," Nia said. He snapped it shut. "Fake badge, fake story, phone." "No." "Then you're obstructing." "State what investigation I obstructed." His radio cracked. "Unit 12, status?" "Need a supervisor on level 2. Owen Mercer arrived 2 minutes later with Jonah Bell. "What happened?" Mercer asked. "She recorded a protected interview and claimed federal status." "I told him where to find my credentials." Mercer took the wallet. "Open the inner sleeve," Nia said. He returned it unopened. "We'll verify downtown." "You can verify it now." "We're done debating." Bell glanced at the wallet. "Shouldn't we call the number?" Mercer turned. "Did I ask for advice?" "No, sir." "Secure the device." Rourke produced a clear evidence bag. Nia removed the phone herself. "Seal number?" she asked. B-7146. Bell wrote it in his notebook. Mercer's gaze snapped toward him. "What are you doing?" "Chain of custody. I'll handle the log." Nia placed the phone inside. Rourke pressed the blue seal closed, trapping one bead of rain beneath the plastic. "Turn around," Mercer said. "For what charge?" "Impersonating a federal officer and obstruction." "You still haven't opened the wallet." "Turn around." The metal around Nia's wrists was colder than the garage air. She shifted her hands so the compass pendant would not catch against her blouse. Bell stared at the floor. At 12:48 p.m., they entered the evidence room. Ruth Allen, 56, sat behind reinforced glass, red reading glasses low on her nose. "Bag and property sheet." Mercer slid the phone into the tray. Ruth checked the seal. "Where's the intake form?" "Coming later." "It comes first." "Emergency seizure." "Then mark the exception." Mercer leaned toward the glass. "Ruth." Her jaw tightened. She opened the ledger to a blank line. Nia watched the transparent bag pass directly over it. "Record the seal," she said. Rourke pulled her toward the door. "Prisoners don't direct evidence staff." Ruth's pen hovered. Bell stood behind Mercer, his notebook half visible. B-7146, Nia said. Mercer removed the bag. "I'll complete it upstairs." The empty line remained beneath the fluorescent glare. At booking, a clerk studied Nia's badge. "Why is she cuffed?" "Federal impersonation," Rourke said. "Did anyone verify it?" Mercer pocketed the wallet. "Process her." Nia's secure phone vibrated inside the bag. Daniel's name flashed across the screen. Rourke turned it face down. Beyond the entrance, two reporters sheltered from the rain. One raised a phone when she recognized him. Rourke straightened his collar. Mercer looked toward the private corridor. For 1 second, Nia thought he might choose it. Then his expression changed. "Not the side door," he said. "Take her through the front." "Through the front?" Jonah Bell asked. Owen Mercer kept walking. "You heard me." The booking printer rattled behind the glass. Nia stood between Rourke and Bell as Mercer opened the doors. Cold rain blew across the tiles, carrying wet pavement and hot plastic. Lauren Pierce, 38, raised her phone, her scarf dark at the ends. "Officer Rourke, who is she?" "A suspect in a federal impersonation case. Has she been charged?" "We acted before it escalated." Nia stepped into the rain. The cuffs pressed against her wrists. Reporters backed down the steps, filming. A man with an umbrella moved aside, but left the dry space empty. "Did you pretend to be an agent?" someone called. Nia said nothing. Rourke adjusted his collar. She refused instructions, recorded a protected interview, and produced fraudulent identification. Bell looked. "That hasn't been verified." Mercer's voice dropped. "Officer Bell?" Lauren caught it. "Verified by whom?" "No further questions." A security camera blinked above the entrance. Nia counted 3 seconds beneath it before Rourke pushed her forward. Doors reflected her coat, his uniform, and the people watching. At 6:56 p.m., Talia stood behind a curtain holding a folded program. "Front row, left side," the coordinator whispered. "Your family seat is marked." Talia looked through the gap. A cream card rested on an empty chair. Reserved. Nia Carter. Simone touched her elbow. "Traffic?" "Probably work." "Want me to move the card?" "No." The auditorium smelled of floor wax and lilies. Applause rolled through the seats. Talia smoothed the program until the paper softened. Back at the courthouse, Lauren followed them inside. "Why the front entrance?" "Public building," Rourke said. There's a secure corridor. Rourke smiled at her camera. Nothing to hide. Nia saw Mercer miss the middle button of his coat. Ms. Carter, do you want to respond? Nia looked at Bell. Keep your notebook. Rourke tightened his grip. Move. Every microphone caught it. The holding area was overheated. A deputy removed Nia's pendant and watch, placing them in a tray. Property receipt? She asked. Later. Write the time. Rourke laughed. Still auditing us? Someone should. At 7:19, Talia walked onto the stage. The director read her achievements. The lights erased most of the audience, but the empty chair stayed visible. Talia accepted the certificate with both hands. Would you like to say anything? She looked at the reserved card. My mother taught me to keep showing up, she said, even when no one notices. The applause began slowly, then filled the room. Afterward, Talia returned to the front row. The folded program slid from the empty chair and landed face down. She picked it up, called Nia, and waited through 6 rings. Upstairs, Nia's phone lay inside an unlogged evidence bag. Talia spoke after the tone. I kept the seat. I don't know why I keep doing that. She ended the call after the auditorium lights went out. At 7:42, Lauren's video reached Evening News. Beneath Rourke's face, the caption identified Nia as an alleged federal imposter. Daniel Cho watched it twice. Then he froze the frame where Bell's notebook showed one handwritten number, B-7146. At 9:06 the next morning, the bailiff called Nia's name. The courtroom was colder than the holding room. A ceiling vent lifted Liam Brooks's legal pad. Nia sat beside him in the coat she had worn through the rain. Her watch had been returned. The compass pendant had not. Evelyn Hart stood. The state calls Officer Caleb Rourke. Rourke crossed the room without looking at Nia. Did the defendant comply? Hart asked. No. What did she do? She raised her voice, refused to surrender the phone, and said I would regret interfering with her. Nia's thumb moved along the edge of her watch. Liam leaned close. That sentence isn't on the audio. Let him finish, she whispered. Rourke described the garage as if every second had belonged to him. He said Nia stepped toward him, hid her wallet, and tore the evidence bag while pulling away. Hart displayed 3 photographs. One showed Nia beside her car, a hand blurred near her coat. Another showed a torn seam. The last showed her closed wallet on Mercer's desk. Are these accurate? Hart asked. They are. Liam rose. There are no time stamps. They came from courthouse security, Hart said. Then show the full sequence. Judge Miriam Vale adjusted her glasses. Do you have proof frames were removed? We requested the original file. We received only these stills. Hart closed the folder. The state cannot produce what it does not possess. Someone possessed it long enough to crop it. A chair creaked. Lauren Pierce sat in the back row, phone face down on her knee. Hart called Owen Mercer. Did Ms. Carter present valid federal identification? No. Did you see a badge? I saw an imitation wallet. Did you open it? Liam asked. Mercer glanced toward Rourke. There was no reason to treat it as genuine. That was not my question. Judge Vale looked over her glasses. Answer him. Mercer missed the middle button of his coat. No. Did anyone call the verification number? No. Was her phone logged into evidence? Emergency intake permits delayed entry. Where is the entry now? The paperwork is being reconciled. Liam placed both hands on the table. Your Honor, we request 48 hours for federal verification and preservation of the complete recordings, Hart answered. She claimed federal status only after detention. Delay gives her time to support that claim retroactively. Nia watched the second hand cross her watch face. Judge Vale folded her hands. Ms. Carter, do you wish to address the court? Liam started to rise, but Nia touched his sleeve. Yes, Your Honor. Verify the credential before deciding what it means. That is all? That is enough. For 3 breaths, only the vent answered. Judge Vale ordered verification but refused release until the next hearing. The bailiff stepped behind Nia. Lauren mouthed, I'm sorry. Nia turned her wrist inward as the bailiff reached for it, protecting the watch from the metal edge. As Nia was led through the side door, she heard Rourke tell Hart, By tomorrow, this will be over. In the corridor, Liam caught up and pressed a folded copy of Bell's handwritten seal number into Nia's palm. The number on the state's evidence photograph was different. The holding room door closed with a rubber thud. Nia unfolded Liam's paper beneath the bench light. Bell had written B-7146. The state photograph showed B-7149. A deputy slid her property tray through the slot. 5 minutes with the phone. No calls. There's a voicemail. 5 minutes. Talia's message had arrived at 7:43 p.m. The glass felt icy against Nia's palm, and the room smelled of bleach and stale coffee. Mom, I waited until they turned the lights off. Her daughter's voice sounded smaller than it had on stage. Everyone kept asking where you were. Then I saw that video. They said you lied about being federal. Nia pressed the speaker closer. I know your work has rules. I know you disappear because people could get hurt if you explain. But I was the one sitting beside an empty chair. A scrape came through the recording. Metal legs folded against the auditorium floor. Then the message ended. Cold air blew over the marks on Nia's wrists. Beyond the wall, a cart squeaked down the corridor. The deputy tapped the glass. Time. 1 minute. 30 seconds. Nia called Daniel. He answered before the first full ring. The emergency order is still unsigned, he said. My original phone? Missing from local custody. Ruth saw Mercer remove it. That is not enough for a federal seizure. The seal changed. Bell's note helps, but we need the device or intake video. Reveal the operation. Daniel did not answer. My daughter thinks I invented my badge. I'm sorry. Make a decision. Give me until noon. The line went dead. At 10:14, Liam arrived with 2 paper cups, rain darkening his shoulders. They denied another release request. Nia turned 1 cup so the handle faced him. What about the photograph? The prosecutor calls it a clerical mismatch. A seal number is chain of custody. I told her. And? She stopped looking at me. He placed a federal verification form on the table. The signature box was blank. Nia stared at it. 6 months of reports, witnesses, nights Talia stopped asking when I'd be home, and 1 blank box makes me a liar. You are not the box. For the first time, her fingers would not close around the cup. Coffee trembled beneath the lid. Tell Daniel I'm done. Liam studied her. Do you mean that? Nia looked at Talia's dark screen. No, she whispered. I mean, I can't keep paying for it alone. The door opened. Ruth Allen stood beside the deputy, red glasses crooked, a property ledger pressed to her chest. I'm not supposed to be here, she said. Liam rose. Then why are you? Ruth opened the ledger to the empty line. Mercer came back at 1:07. He replaced the blue seal and told me to forget the first number. Did you see the new one? Liam asked. B-7149. Will you sign? Ruth's hand shook. If you can keep me from standing alone. Nia placed Bell's note beside the ledger. You won't stand alone. A guard called Ruth from the corridor. She closed the book, but not before Nia saw a faint carbon impression beneath the blank line. Transferred to court property, 8:32 a.m. The original phone had entered the courthouse before Rourke took the stand. At 8:41 a.m., Daniel Cho stared at Ruth's copied transfer line. "Court property?" Priya Shah asked. "That's what the ledger says." "Then the phone may have synced before they moved it." Blue monitor light washed across empty desks. A printer warmed behind them. Daniel called Liam. "Keep Carter available. We may have a cloud backup." "You have until noon," Liam said. "Then the judge rules." Priya entered the device number. The upload was marked corrupted. "Can you recover it?" People who alter reports rarely delete correctly. At 9:03, Jonah Bell sat in his patrol car beneath the garage. Rain drummed on the roof. His notebook lay open to B-7146. Rourke appeared at the window. "Lieutenant wants your notes." "They're personal." "They concern an arrest." Bell locked the door. "Open up." "My camera uploaded that day." "It failed." "I heard the audio." "You heard static." Bell's fingers slipped against his collar button. He saw the green cloud icon on the dashboard. "No, sir." Rourke leaned toward the glass. "Think carefully about what happens to officers who accuse their own unit." Bell started the engine. "What are you doing?" "Getting coffee." He drove away with Rourke's hand still raised. At 9:26, Marisol Vega removed a memory card from the cafe safe. Lauren Pierce waited beside the silent grinder. "You copied everything?" "Audio and video." "Why not give it to police?" "One of them asked me to change what I heard." Lauren placed an envelope on the counter. "Give it to someone who cannot erase it quietly." "Will my name be public?" "Not unless you agree." The grinder roared. Marisol slid the card across. At 10:02, a pale waveform appeared on Priya's monitor. "I found the vehicle upload." Garage echoes filled the speakers, followed by Nia's voice. "My identification is in the inner sleeve." Rourke answered. "Fake badge. Fake story." Mercer followed. "We'll verify downtown." Plastic crackled. "Seal number?" Nia asked. B-7146. Daniel bent closer. "Package it." "There's another file." Mercer spoke near the evidence terminal at 1:09 p.m. "Replace the seal. The first one was entered wrong." Ruth replied, "Nothing was entered." "Then there is nothing to correct." The printer stopped. Daniel called the federal prosecutor. "We have direct evidence of tampering." "Bring authentication." "It's generating now." At 10:18, Liam entered the holding room carrying Bell's notebook in a clear sleeve. "He came to us," Liam said. Nia read the number and cloud symbol. "He knew it uploaded." "He was afraid." "He came anyway." Her secure phone rang. "We recovered the audio," Daniel said. "Ruth is giving a statement. Marisol's recording reached a reporter." Nia tightened her grip. "Talia?" "I called her. I said your credential was real." "What did she say?" "She asked why strangers learned the truth before she did." Cold air moved beneath the door. Nia closed her eyes. A buzzer sounded. "Court reconvenes in 20 minutes, the deputy said. Liam held out her coat. "This changes everything." Nia slipped one arm into the damp sleeve. Only if the judge hears it before they move the phone again. Across town, Mercer entered the evidence room and found the shelf empty. The courtroom clock showed 10:39 when the rear doors opened. A clerk hurried down the aisle with an envelope. Rain shone on her sleeves. Daniel Cho, Priya Shah, and 2 federal investigators followed. Judge Vale raised a hand. "Approach." Hart stood. "The state objects to material presented without notice." Daniel stopped at the rail. The filing concerns evidence tampering. Notice risked destruction. Rourke leaned toward Mercer. What did they recover? Mercer said nothing. The envelope scraped across the bench. Nia remained beside Liam, her damp coat over the chair. The room smelled of wet wool and hot wiring. Judge Vale read the first page twice. Ms. Hart, did your office verify her credentials? We submitted the request. That is not what I asked. No, Your Honor. Vale looked at Nia. Please stand. The cuffs were gone, but pale bands remained around her wrists. For the record, the court has authenticated that Nia Carter is a special agent of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, assigned to a joint corruption inquiry under seal. A pen struck the floor beside the witness stand. Rourke stared at it. The sound was small. No one moved. Hart turned. You testified she invented that status. She never showed me anything valid. You never opened the sleeve. Mercer stood. This hearing should be closed. Daniel faced him. It is now. The investigators covered both exits. One handed the bailiff a preservation order. Judge Vale's voice hardened. No device or document leaves this building. Mercer's hand moved toward his coat pocket. Priya noticed. Lieutenant, place the phone on the table. It's mine. Then unlocking it should be simple. He set it down without looking at Rourke. Daniel connected a speaker. Garage echoes filled the room. My identification is in the inner sleeve. Then Rourke. Fake badge. Fake story. Plastic crackled. Seal number? B-7146. Lauren Pierce lowered her phone. Ruth Allen covered her mouth. Belle sat rigid in the back row. Priya displayed the evidence photograph. B-7149 glowed above the torn seam. Hart stepped back. Officer Rourke, did you know the seal had been replaced? No, Mercer said. Do not answer. Judge Vale turned. He is under oath. You are not his attorney. Daniel played the second recording. Replace the seal, Mercer's voice said. Ruth answered. Nothing was entered. Then there is nothing to correct. The room tightened around the final word. Rourke bent for his pen, but his fingers missed it twice. Judge Vale removed her glasses. The detention order is vacated. All allegations against Agent Carter are suspended pending federal review. Liam exhaled. You're free to go. Nia looked at Daniel. Where is my original phone? His expression changed. Priya lowered the laptop. It was transferred at 8:32. The shelf is empty. Mercer stepped toward the aisle. An investigator blocked him. Lieutenant, remain where you are. Rourke picked up the pen. This is a misunderstanding. Nia folded Talia's scholarship invitation along its softened crease. No, she said. It's a pattern. Bell stood in the gallery. I can prove that. He raised his notebook. 17 case numbers were written beneath the blue seal. Bell's notebook landed on the clerk's table with a slap. Those numbers belong to reports I uploaded, he said. Every file was complete when it left my car. Judge Vale asked Daniel, Can you authenticate them? Priya opened a second laptop. Its fan whined in the room. 11 match. Give me 5 minutes. Rourke remained at the stand. A rookie's notes are not evidence. Bell's face reddened. Neither are cropped photographs. Mercer turned. Sit down, officer. No, sir. The words changed the room. Daniel placed the garage audio, Marisol's recording, and Ruth's ledger beneath the document camera. Blue seal numbers filled the screen. Evelyn Hart's folder lay open beside her, its pages smelling of fresh toner. Play the cafe file, Nia said. The grinder screamed through the speakers. Marisol's voice followed. I wrote what I saw. Then Rourke. Say you couldn't hear his words. 47 seconds of pressure followed before his body camera resumed. Hart stared at the transcript. This was not in Discovery. It was marked as equipment failure, Priya said. By whom? Priya enlarged the metadata. The deletion flag came from Mercer's credentials. Mercer laughed. Credentials are shared during maintenance. Not at 1:09 a.m. from your office terminal. The radiator knocked. Someone in the gallery inhaled sharply. Priya arranged 17 reports in columns. The same sentence glowed yellow across every page, including the reversed letters in identifying. Hart rose. Officer Rourke, did you draft these? I helped junior officers with wording. Did you help with testimony too? No. Daniel handed her an email chain. Your office received these summaries before 6 hearings. Hart read the first message. Use the standard resistance language. Keep the camera issue technical. I'll make it stick. Her fingers tightened. Who sent this? Mercer to Rourke, Daniel said. Copied to your case portal. That address is automated. The attachments were opened under your login, Priya replied. Hart looked at Nia. I never saw the source files. You saw enough to ask questions, Nia said. Judge Vale leaned forward. Did your office rely on these summaries? Yes. How many cases? At least 9. A man in the gallery covered his mouth. Lauren Pierce stopped typing. Hart closed the folder she had carried all morning. She held it against her chest, then pushed it to the far edge of the table until it touched nothing. I am turning over my correspondence, access logs, and notes, she said. All of them. Rourke stood. You're blaming us to save yourself. Hart did not look at him. I'm preserving what I should have preserved before. Mercer moved toward the side door. An investigator stopped him. Judge Vale ordered every case tied to the report sealed for review and told the clerk to contact the affected defendants. As people rose, Nia stayed seated. Liam touched the invitation in her hand. You were right. About the pattern. About all of it. Nia watched Hart remove her bar card and place it beside the abandoned folder. No, she said. We're only beginning to learn who paid for it. At the back of the courtroom, the man raised one case number and said, That one is mine. That one is mine, the man said. Malcolm Price, 52, a city bus driver with a salt-gray beard, held the case number with both hands. Judge Vale looked toward Daniel. Can he be heard today? Not formally. Malcolm's wife and 2 adult sons stood behind him. One son kept a hand on his chair. Nia rose. Then let him speak before someone sends him away for 6 months. The room settled. Malcolm opened a thin folder. The paper smelled of basement damp. Rourke wrote that I threatened him during a traffic stop. My camera showed me asking why my plate had been entered wrong. Was the recording admitted? Hart asked. Marked corrupted. Malcolm swallowed. The transit authority fired me before the hearing. My youngest son paid our rent for 4 months. His son looked at the floor. Rourke's former seat remained empty. 3 days later, the courthouse annex filled before sunrise. Chairs scraped tile, umbrellas dripped, and burnt coffee cooled beside reopened files. Each witness had a folder no thicker than a menu. Behind each witness sat a family. Denise Walker, 47, owned a laundromat. She placed a photograph of her storefront beside her report. They said I interfered with an arrest, she told the panel. I asked why a customer was being taken outside. What happened afterward? Daniel asked. My insurer canceled me. My sister stopped bringing her grandchildren because she believed the report. A woman in the second row covered her mouth. Denise looked back. She came today. Her sister moved beside her, but did not speak. The panel chair turned to Nia. "Agent Carter, your testimony is scheduled for 40 minutes. Nia glanced at the line along the wall. "Give me 10. Your investigation began this review. Their lives are the review." Daniel slid his agenda forward. "We can extend the session." "We are already over capacity," the chair said. Malcolm lifted his folder. "So were our consequences." No one answered. The hearing continued past lunch. Dry air moved over Nia's face as rain tapped the high windows. One man described losing an apartment after a background check. A woman said her adult daughter stopped answering calls. Another witness unfolded a termination letter until the creases nearly split. Nia recorded dates, missing files, supervisors, and the words people could not finish. During recess, Hart approached with 2 cups. "You should eat." Nia accepted neither. "How many cases did your office close from summaries alone?" 23 may be affected." "Maybe. We are still counting." "Count faster." Hart set 1 cup beside Malcolm's folder. "I will." At dusk, the panel approved emergency reviews for every case tied to Rourke and Mercer. Malcolm's son squeezed his shoulder. Denise's sister reached for her hand. Daniel leaned close. "They want you on the evening broadcast." "No." "It could help." Nia watched staff wheel another cart of thin folders through the door. "Put them on," she said. "People should see what a closed case looks like when the person is still living inside it." At the bottom, Priya found a sealed personnel envelope bearing Mercer's signature and a date from 7 years earlier. Priya broke the seal at 7:18 p.m. Inside was a personnel review from 7 years earlier. Mercer had signed beneath one sentence, "No pattern of intentional reporting errors established." Daniel turned it over. "Who was reviewed?" "Caleb Rourke," Priya said. The annex smelled of wet wool. Nia stood beside the evidence cart. 3 altered timestamps, Hart said. 2 missing recordings. Same language. "And your office received it?" Nia asked. "My predecessors." "Someone received it." Hart lowered the file. "And someone closed it." By morning, the hearing room was full. Rourke entered without his uniform, in a stiff navy suit. Mercer arrived separately. Harold Finch, 55, a control investigator with wire-rim glasses, aligned every page before speaking. "Officer Rourke, did Lieutenant Mercer assist with your reports in 2019? "He corrected formatting." "Did he give you standard resistance language?" "No." Finch slid forward an email. "Then why thank him for giving you words judges trust?" Rourke looked toward Mercer. Mercer's attorney whispered, "Do not answer." Finch turned. "Lieutenant, did you close this review?" "I accepted the findings." "You wrote them." "I summarized them." Ruth sat behind Nia, twisting her property receipt. Bell held his notebook on his knee. Finch projected the access log. Mercer's credentials appeared beside each altered file. "Administrative error," Mercer said. 17 times? Shared access. Bell stood without being called. They weren't shared. Mercer's face tightened. "Sit down." "You made us leave terminals unlocked," Bell said. "You said accountability slowed patrol work. When I objected, you extended my training." Finch asked, "Will you state that under oath?" Bell looked at Ruth. "Yes." The projector fan filled the silence. During recess, Hart approached Nia. "I owe you an apology." Nia folded the old review. "Start with Malcolm Price." "I will." "And Denise Walker." "I will." "And the people who stopped believing rooms like this mattered." Hart's mouth opened, then closed. "I'll find them." At 2:46 p.m., Finch announced the recommendations. Rourke would be suspended pending charges for false testimony and evidence interference. Mercer would be removed from command while prosecutors reviewed obstruction counts. Rourke was asked to surrender his badge. He held it too long. His thumb passed over the seal before he placed it face down. Lauren lowered her camera. Mercer leaned toward him. "Say nothing." Rourke stared at the badge. "You said the wording would protect us." Finch looked up. "Repeat that." Rourke's fingers failed twice before finding his coat button. Nia did not smile. Outside, rain had stopped, leaving the courthouse steps black. Talia waited below, holding the scholarship program. "I watched the hearing," she said. "You shouldn't have learned about me from a hearing." "No." "I don't know how to fix that." Talia held out the folded program. "Then don't start with fixing it. Tell me what happens next." Behind them, Daniel opened a folder marked Independent Evidence Protocol. Nia looked from her daughter to the title. "What happens next," she said, "is we make sure they cannot switch another seal in the dark." The marker squeaked across the title. Nia drew one line through Carter accountability rules and wrote beneath it, Independent Evidence Protocol. Leonard Price, 62, chair of the commission, leaned over the table. "That name would help people remember why this exists," he said. "They should remember what it prevents. It recognizes what you endured." "A rule tied to one person becomes a tribute," Nia said. "Procedure is harder to remove." Talia sat in the public row with the old scholarship program folded in her lap. The room smelled of hot paper, damp coats, and bitter coffee. Daniel tapped the first section. "Every body camera file copies to an external server before an officer returns. And no local supervisor can delete it," Priya added. A union attorney shifted. "What if the upload fails?" 3 offices receive an alert. That could freeze evidence." "Good," Ruth Allen replied. "A frozen file can be checked. A missing file cannot." The vent clicked on, lifting reopened case summaries. Leonard turned the page. "Seal replacement requires 2 signatures? From separate departments. That slows intake. It did not slow anyone when B-7146 became B-7149. Jonah Bell set down his notebook. Add the original number, exact time, and a witness officers cannot skip. Mercer's policy had called those entries optional. At noon, Malcolm Price approached in his transit jacket. "I got my route back," he said. "The apology came in an email with no name." Denise Walker followed. "My insurer reopened my claim. My sister visits again. None of that explains why one report outweighed 5 witnesses." Nia moved her testimony card to the bottom. "You were scheduled first," Leonard said. "They waited years. I waited 7 months." Only the fluorescent hum answered. Talia opened the old program. Its crease had gone soft. When Nia spoke, she used 6 minutes. No officer should control a recording that may disprove his report. No supervisor should review his own command. No prosecutor should receive cropped evidence without original metadata. And no citizen should need a federal agent nearby to be believed. The union attorney raised a hand. "You are building policy around extreme misconduct. Then honest officers will never fear it." The vote came at 4:32 p.m. External storage passed unanimously. Dual signature seals passed 6-1. Independent review and notice to affected defendants passed without opposition. Leonard pushed the resolution toward Nia. "Last chance to restore your name." She darkened the line through Carter. "No." Applause began in the back row. Nia looked at Talia. Her daughter crossed the aisle and placed the old program beside the signed protocol. "You missed this," Talia said. "I know. But I heard this." Nia touched the worn edge. "That does not erase the empty chair." "No." Talia sat beside her. It tells me why it was empty. Outside, evening light turned the wet courthouse steps copper. Daniel handed Nia the audit schedule. 7 months, he said. Then the city publishes the results. Talia nodded toward the doors. My next ceremony is in May. What time? 7. Nia wrote the date on the back of the protocol before the ink could dry. 7 months later, the first independent audit arrived at 8:05 a.m. Nia stood in the evidence room while Ruth opened the report with a dual key. 2 cameras blinked above the counter. The old blank ledger had been replaced by a screen that would not advance until both custodians signed. 31 cases reviewed, Ruth read. 12 convictions vacated. 9 employment records corrected. Priya tapped the last page. Every body camera file now copies outside the department before local access. Ruth adjusted her red glasses. No one asks me to leave a line blank anymore. Jonah Bell entered in a training uniform with the same pocket notebook. He now taught recruits to preserve original files. Still keeping that? Nia asked. He opened to B-7146. Some numbers shouldn't become easy to forget. Across town, Malcolm Price guided his bus onto its morning route. A card from his youngest son was taped above the dashboard. Welcome back, Dad. Denise Walker reopened the laundromat's late shift, and her sister folded towels near the dryers. Marisol's sidewalk permit had been renewed. She kept the cafe memory card beneath the register. At noon, Evelyn Hart faced the families whose cases her office had reopened. Reassigned to a disclosure unit, she now completed mandatory evidence integrity training. I trusted summaries because they carried official signatures, she said. That does not excuse what I failed to examine. Malcolm asked, Will your office call us before a report ruins another job? Yes, the new rule requires it. Rourke pleaded guilty to false testimony and evidence interference. He lost his position and certification and received supervised probation. Mercer was convicted of obstruction, removed from public employment, and barred from managing evidence systems. Neither judgment restored the years inside the thin folders, but both named what had happened without hiding it as an administrative error. That evening, Stonebridge published the audit, listing every corrected case, recovered recording, and agency responsible for oversight. Leonard Price read the totals while Daniel and Priya watched from the back row. Nia spoke for less than a minute. The system worked only after people risked something to make it look, she said. Then she left the microphone. At 6:42 p.m., she entered the university auditorium before the doors opened. Warm stage lights smelled faintly of dust. Talia stood near the aisle in a dark blue gown, pretending to check seating cards. You're early, she said. 18 minutes. I counted 22 last time. I know. Talia pointed to the first row. 2 programs rested on neighboring chairs. The old one was creased and soft at the corners. Across it lay a new cream card marked Reserved, but this time Talia had drawn an arrow toward the seat Nia already occupied. During the ceremony, Nia kept her phone turned off in her lap. No secure call interrupted the names. When Talia crossed the stage, she did not search an empty chair. Afterward, they remained while the crowd moved around them in a rustle of gowns and paper. Does it feel finished? Talia asked. Nia looked at the old program beneath the new one. No, she said. It feels honest. Talia linked her arm through hers. Together, they carried both programs home. The reserved seat was no longer waiting. Have you ever seen a report, title, or official version outweigh what people actually witnessed? Share your experience in the comments. especially if someone found the courage to speak when staying silent would have been easier. Send this story to a person who believes dignity should not depend on status, connections, or the uniform someone wears. Stories like Nia's matter because accountability rarely begins with a grand speech. It begins with a notebook kept, a number remembered, or one witness refusing to look away. Subscribe for more stories about justice, quiet resilience, and the difficult work of changing systems after the truth comes out. Your voice may help someone else feel less alone.